Hello and welcome to The Matrix. It's been a while that a need is being felt to strengthen our relations with Saudi Arabia in the New World Order. It is in this context that the visit of Dr. Mohammad bin Abdulkarim Al-Issa becomes important. His scheduled visit between 10th to 16th of July is in news headlines. Today I have with me Dr. Zafar Mahmood, who is the president of Zakat Foundation and he's a former civil servant. He will help us understand the significance of this visit. Assalamu alaikum, Zafar Mahmood Sahab. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Let me begin by asking you, can you help us understand the significance of Dr. Mohammad bin Abdulkarim Al-Issa's first visit to India? How do you see it?
This is a very welcome visit, and I am sure that it is very well thought out by the government of India. Incidentally, before we proceed further, let me also point out here that he is not only the Secretary General of Muslim World League, but he is wearing other hats also.
Absolutely.
So one important position which he is holding is that he is also chairman of the Center for Responsible Leadership.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that is an organization which is based in USA, but the founder is Mr. Babajan.
Okay.
He is very well known for interfaith dialogues, etc.
Right.
So that is a point to be noted.
Sure.
And to that extent, we cannot rule out that it is also an outcome of some sort of track to diplomacy.
Right.
Partly.
Yes.
In any case, this augurs very well and happy change, I would say, in India's foreign policy.
Right.
Because I was working in Saudi Arabia in the Indian embassy there long ago, I think 88 to 91.
Sure.
So, since then I have been under the impression that Muslim World League is one of those organizations to whom our government has not been seeing very kindly.
Right.
But then the happy change has occurred on both the ends.
Right.
Basically, the change has occurred within the Muslim World League.
Sure.
From loaded spirituality to some sort of empirical and altruistic approach.
Right.
So that they have already introduced within themselves.
Right.
So that has coincided well with the change towards Muslim World League in our policy also from India.
Sure.
So, and one more important factor here could be because of which the change occurred in the policy of the Muslim World League, that could have been an urge for peaceful coexistence in the post-September 11 changeover.
Sure.
Yeah. So, taking into account all these factors at different levels, the net result is that India should feel good that our foreign minister and our NSA and other agencies, I'm sure, they have been able to put together this very important visit to India.
Yes. So, we have seen that the National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, and External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, have been working in West Asia region. And now it is bearing fruits. We can see that, this is a high, it is a very important visit of one of the highest dignitaries from the Saudi Arabia. Could you also, shed some light on the achievements of Dr. Mohammad bin Abdulkarim Al-Issa, as you say that there's a shift of World Muslim League from loaded spirituality to the empirical approach?
Yeah. For this purpose, for answering your question, another important factor is that he is former Justice Minister of Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
That's also an important thing to know. In any case, because of his efforts in promoting peace and religious and civilizational harmony globally, he has been given several awards. And one such award was Bridge Builder, given by Norway.
Yes.
And then World Peace Medal was given by Sri Lanka. And Galileo Award was given by Italy during the last 5-6 years.
Right.
And in 2019, he stood tall with prominent Muslim, Jewish, and Christian religious leaders of the world to sign a very historic memorandum of understanding, pledging to continue meaningful interfaith dialogue.
Right.
So he has been an active worker in the field of, I would say, peace diplomacy.
Sure.
He was also received by King Charles and Pope Francis, and above all, he co-chaired the G20 interfaith group last year in 2022 when Indonesia was the president.
R20.
So that group was known as you are rightly saying, R20, Religion 20, of an offshoot of G20.
Right.
So in this entire background, his India visit, I would say that there is no harm even looking at it as a sort of a follow-up of our Honorable Prime Minister's meeting a week or 2 weeks ago with Egyptian Grand Mufti, Dr. Shaukat Ibrahim Allam in Cairo.
Yes.
And therefore we can also think that India is embarking upon, and I am very happy to say that, is embarking upon some sort of a soft channel in the Middle East and in particular, and with Muslim world in general.
Right. Absolutely. As you rightly pointed out, that these were areas which were not worked upon, in terms of at the government level. But now we see this change. And talking about Dr. Mohammad bin Abdulkarim Al-Issa, you see, his work is remarkable, the kind of outreach he's been doing, and being a representative from the Muslim community, this work was much needed, and he's taken upon himself the responsibility of reaching out to the community members. And we have learned that when he comes to India, he's also going to, he's going to engage in several interfaith, events and activities which are going to happen in India. So how do you see this?
For knowing that, it is important to also keep in mind that Muslim World League has what kind of works they have assigned to themselves for a long time.
Sure.
It is a 60-year-old organization, by the way, but it has been undergoing changes, as I just now mentioned. So it has a World Supreme Council for Mosques. That is also there within the body.
Sure.
Then Islamic Fiqh Council, and I'll shortly talk about it more in detail.
Sure.
An organization of Muslim scholars. So these are all sub-bodies, and they have offices in the majority of the countries of the world, around the world.
Right.
And they have an observer status in different bodies of United Nations, ECOSOC and UNESCO and UNICEF.
Right.
So it is a very well established body and doing good works. And they say that they present true Islam and promote friendship among people, and they practice also on that, I can very well say.
Right.
And they introduce Islam and its tolerant values as presented in the Holy Quran and the Sunnah.
Right.
And at the same time, and this is something recent, they consolidate the moderation in the consciousness of the Muslim Ummah.
Right. Yes.
So this is the, as I was just now mentioning to you, the internal, organizational, partly spiritual part. In addition to that, they have also been providing humanitarian aid the world over. In different fields, in the field of education, medical aid, refugees and displaced persons, orphans, large number. I have said in one or two words, but they are doing wonderful.
Extensive work.
And above all, they have an agenda which they are practicing also of a civilisational rapprochement, we can call that.
Okay.
Civilized, reaching out to different faiths in the world.
Yes.
And making bridges with them.
Right.
So, very positive interactions and communication with everybody else in order to accomplish comprehensive peace and harmony.
Right.
And most of these words which I am telling you, they have mentioned in their charter.
Right.
They have a Makkah charter.
Yes.
Yeah. And they extend bridges of affection, brotherhood, human cooperation, civilized cultural dialogue, and they have been doing that, by the way.
Right.
So many conferences and get-togethers they have done. They also make sure that their conferences also talk about combating terrorism and injustice at the same time.
Sure.
Both sides.
Okay.
Combating terrorism as well as injustice. And they are also in the field of climate change, emphasizing that. Then Islamophobia also. They say that there is Islamophobia in the world, but it results from an inability to truly understand Islam, and they are working on that.
Right.
So and they feel sorry that this state of affairs is projected by those who are falsely claiming to be Muslims.
Right.
So they have a wonderful background and just a correct organization to which our government of India has very correctly reached out and invited him for wide interactions with different groups here.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that, a person of his stature, when he comes to India, and India has had a very strong historical and civilizational ties with Saudi Arabia. So his visit to India will strengthen our bonds in terms of interfaith, social harmony. I'm sure he will be having some very good messages for the Indian, the community as to how we can take forward this legacy.
That's true. Yeah. And they have also been working in the field of, noble moral values on the part of individuals.
Right.
So this is a sort of societal upbringing the world over.
Right.
And responsible social practices, they encourage that to happen in the world, in different countries. They are very clear in their approach, and they say that freedom does not equate chaos. Freedom and chaos are two different sides.
Right.
Every freedom must stop. This is very important.
Right.
Before it limits the values and freedoms of others.
Yes.
Very well thought out.
Very well thought. Very well thought. Absolutely.
And each country and each individual should respect the boundaries of constitutional and legal frameworks of different countries.
Right.
That should be, that also
is very important.
And taking into account these factors, one should work for developing a public conscience and subsequently societal tranquility.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very positive approach of being practical and propagating moderate values. The true spirit of Islam. So when he comes to India, we'll also talk about World Muslim League in greater details, which you wanted to share with us. He's also supposed to interact, and he's also supposed to give a talk at the India Islamic Cultural Center on 11th, where the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will also be delivering his speech. That's what we have learned. So that event is going to be very significant, and the optics are going to be very positive, and it will have a long, it will have a very positive effect. What do you say?
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and I should congratulate you that you have organized this conversation today, so that to equip the people of India
Right.
In advance
Sure.
about what all is going to happen
Yes.
and what one should expect.
Right.
A green positive energy.
Right.
So, because the Muslim World League has been working in the field of ensuring that world leaders and international organizations cooperate to achieve safe coexistence among the religious, ethnic, and cultural communities of the humanity at large.
Right.
And there should be no discrimination based on an individual's religion,
Right.
ethnicity, or otherwise. And it has been also emphasizing what we can call it as global citizenship.
Right.
They say it's a requirement.
Sure.
Global citizenship is a requirement, and the states should protect sanctuaries from desecration and shield religious symbols from ridicule.
Right.
So it's a very well thought out, comprehensive document which they have placed before themselves, and on the basis of which they have been gradually proceeding.
Right.
They also talk of empowerment of women, welfare of children,
Yes.
and constructive dialogue, particularly among the youth
Right.
at the international fora,
Right.
inside and outside the Muslim communities.
Okay.
So, and they have been organizing such get-togethers. And you will be very happy to know that they utilize the occasion of annual Hajj pilgrimage to organize such conferences of interfaith in Makkah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that way, they give importance to Muslim minorities and their issue and solving them within the constitutions and countries and the rules of the countries concerned.
That is very important.
So yeah.
That's very important.
That way, they try to give some and call out some scientific solutions
Right.
to raise the standards of Muslims the world over.
Sure. Also, like you pointed out, that he's former Minister of Justice in the Saudi Arabia government, and obviously he's undertaken. Saudi Arabia, we know, is undertaking a lot of reforms. In terms of a lot of changes are happening in terms of society. In terms of we've also learned that they're also revisiting the hadith, and there's kind of the authentic compilation of hadith is also being worked at one level. There was some criticism from various quarters from the Islamic world that why is Saudi Arabia changing? But I think that they have taken a very practical approach. Like you said, a global citizen. And how to adjust within the setup where you've been brought up, where you will survive. These are very, very positive things which are happening.
Actually, this particular work which you are mentioning on the part of Muslim World League, this is a requirement of, I would say, Shariat, because the sources of Shariat, of course, top sources Quran, Holy Quran,
Yes.
and then is the traditions of the Prophet.
Right.
But if on some particular issue there is no clarity in these two sources, then there is a provision of ijtihad, ijma.
Right.
So that we can say consensus of opinion of Muslim ulama. So there has to be some platform. And I am not aware if there is any other platform other than Muslim World League,
Right.
which is incorporating in itself the representation of the entire world,
Right.
as far as Muslim sections, Muslim countries are concerned.
Right.
I think there are 139 countries who ratified their charter in the beginning itself. Yeah.
Right.
So they have been doing very well, and they have been recognizing the dynamics of Shariat,
Right.
because Shariat is implementation of God's law as understood from Quran and Hadith,
Right.
but then to implement it in a world which is continuously changing.
Changing, yeah. Absolutely.
So there has to be, the Shariat itself has to be changing, has to be dynamic. So those who are not able to appreciate that, this is the duty of yourself and myself, as we are doing just now, to reach out to them and explain to them. So, and that's why their MWL logo also says that we are here to serve Islam and Muslims. So if they are serving Islam and Muslims, then they have to deal with particular this aspect also of ijma and consensus of ulama. There has to be somebody which should bring out some sort of reconciliation between different opinions of ulama in different countries. On the, like, for example, I am dealing with zakat. So even the heads of zakat, which are mentioned in Surah Tawbah, ayat number 6060. So the interpretation of those 8 heads, that is also varying widely in different countries, among different societies, among the ulama. So what MWL does and what it should do, and we do appreciate that, is to invite such ulama, listen to them, let them talk to each other, and try to cull out a position which is acceptable mostly, broadly, to different opinion makers. So, particularly in the light of latest technological innovations, there have to be new rules and regulations.
So clearly, this is the most influential body of, we can say, for Muslims in the world. It is very influential because whatever the kind of work they are doing and the kind of details they are getting into, and they're trying to resolve the conflicts which are there. And also I'm sure that when Dr. Mohammad bin Abdulkarim Al-Issa comes to India, he will also have a lot of positive messages, progressive messages for the Muslim community in India as well.
Sure. So this is, as I said in the beginning, this is a very positive development, and we must appreciate this gesture of the government of India of reaching out to such kinds of leadership in the world, organizational leadership, and inviting them to India and at the official level, as well as ensuring their interaction with the people of India.
So our sister organization, Khusro Foundation, has extended the invitation also, and he will be attending one of the events at Khusro Foundation's invitation at the India Islamic Cultural Center on the 11th of July. Now, sir, I would like to ask you that you're talking about World Muslim League, and they also have various arms. If you can tell us about, the kind of work which various arms do. What is their nature of work? If you can tell us briefly.
No, I have already said. In fact, they are doing different kinds of works which they have mentioned on their in their, as I said, the Charter of Makkah. It's a part of the Charter of Makkah that we will do this, we will do that, etc. So these bodies are doing their works, and they are manned by experts in their different fields. Like as I said, World Supreme Council of Mosques. So those who are running mosques across the world. What mosque does? The mosque is a center for people to get together 5 times a day, and for in a larger congregation once in a week, and much larger congregation twice a year. That is a very well called out methodology of keeping the flock together and ensuring mutual interaction for mutual benefit for the entire world. So, but there has to be a central body at the world level also. So they provide that leadership.
They're doing
about the mosques. Islamic Fiqh Academy deals with the spirituality, but the interpretation of the laws of the Quran as per the latest developments,
Right.
which keep on happening in the world
Right.
from century to century.
Right.
And then organization of Muslim scholars, they invite the Muslim scholars quite often there in Makkah Mukarramah. And as I said, that they have got, for this purpose, as a part of the facilitative mechanism, they have got their offices across the world in more than 100 countries.
Yes. So this is this becomes very important. You see, in terms of the takeaways of what's happening in Saudi Arabia. Maybe we can also learn a few things about use of loudspeakers, how they're going about it. Then also, like you pointed out about the Supreme Council, they perhaps you have also been doing this kind of work in India about the khutbahs, guiding the khatibs, how they should go about the Friday sermons. They should be meaningful. They should be in sync with times, and also in terms of the kind of work which is happening on hadith, like you said, that we have to be, the world is changing at a very fast pace. So we have to, we have to keep pace with it. So clearly, and so what other takeaways do you think are going to happen when he comes to India? Apparently, he's here for he's starting his visit on 10th of July, and then he's here till 16th. And we've also learned that he's also going for Friday prayers at Jama Masjid. And that will be a very, very important, event. What do you say?
Yeah, it's basically because he is heading a Muslim organization at the international level, and by an organization he is having perhaps one of the most important organizations, which matters quite well.
Right.
And so therefore, and now in recent years, our government of India has established very good contacts and relationships and enriched the relationship with the Middle East and with the Muslim countries of the world.
Yes.
So taking both these sides into account, this is a wonderful thing to happen. In fact, earlier also some sort of this approach we have been seeing in India,
right?
And it will be now an occasion to celebrate that we are receiving an important dignitary of the level of this chairman of the Muslim World League. So, and this does give some sort of psychological happiness to the entire population.
Absolutely, sir. And the fact that he'll be here for quite some time is truly, people are looking forward to it. So thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the significance of this visit. So we at Awaz-The Voice will be covering his visit between 10th to 16th of July extensively. You may visit our social media handles or visit our website for the latest developments on for this event. Our website is www.awazthevoice.in. Do log in. Thank you. That's all we have this week. We'll be back with another interesting issue next week. Thank you and goodbye from the Matrix team.